Good morning, everyone. Hello, I am Crystal Hinkle. I am part of the team here at Synchro. Welcome, happy Friday. I will let the rest of the team introduce themselves, and Andy's stealing, but once Andy's back, he'll introduce himself. But go ahead.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. Thank you for being here. I'm Tatiana. Nice to see some familiar faces here.
Hi everyone, I'm Brandy. Nice to see you all today.
Hey everybody, it's Hannah. Welcome.
Hey everybody, I'm Andy. My camera's working now. We're good to go.
Welcome, Andy. We definitely didn't advertise that Andy was going to be here today, so everyone's in for a treat. We're always really happy and thankful when you join us, Andy, so thank you so much. For those of you that have been here before, thank you so much for attending again and joining us. We really enjoy doing these open office hours. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. What we do here in open office hours is kind of a live rapid fire Q&A. So really any questions are welcome. Anything that you've been thinking about as either you're testing Synchro, if you've never even looked at Synchro, or perhaps you've been with us for a while and you just have some new questions, we're happy to tackle those. And what we'll do today to start out, I'm sure those of you that have been with Synchro know that we have started the rollout of our Splashtop. So I thought we might take some time at the beginning here. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. I haven't looked over at the Q&A yet, but that is kind of the other thing, just a little housekeeping announcement. We do use the Q&A as a way for us to field your questions. So please use the Q&A. We'll use the chat internally if we want to drop any sort of KBs or anything like that for you to reference later. But I thought that it would be good. Does it make sense to do maybe just like a quick, let's show off Splashtop here real quick and then take some questions? Does that seem right, Andy?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Cool, let's do it.
Prepare to be wowed. So the first thing I want to say, we started doing this as a limited deployment. We started yesterday to a small number of users. We're going to increase that number. It may take up to maybe 2 weeks before it's fully rolled out to everybody. So I've got a lot of PMs about this. I assure everybody this selection process is completely random. I really, really appreciate all the bribes you folks have offered. None have swayed me so far. So that's where we're at. I think there's going to be a much bigger wave going out today. But I'm just going to ask everyone to do me a favor. Like, please, please, please don't run into support saying like, hey, can you move me up in line? Or when is my turn coming? I don't want to have them getting hammered with those requests. It will come soon. I promise you. Let me share my screen here. Okay, we'll do like a quick 5-minute thing here. Once it gets rolled out to your account, you are going to see this remote access section on your policies. When you check this box, allow technicians remote access, this is basically saying deploy Splashtop. This is going to go out to all of your assets by default. If you haven't had the rollout yet, there is an opt-in, or excuse me, an opt-out, where if you don't want this enabled on your policies by default, it will do that when we roll it out for you. The second one here is whether or not you want to have the end user say, yes, you can connect to my machine. It's effectively attended access. This is off by default, so it's full unattended access. But again, if you want to use that, you can turn it on, and then your end user will have to accept it. And if they don't, it will reject your connection. And every single time that y'all connect to somebody's computer, in the bottom right, it will say so-and-so is connecting. It will always let them know for 5 seconds or whatever. Here you can kind of customize what name you want that to appear, whether you want it to be the technician's name, the MSP name, some combination of both. Completely up to you guys. Let me move this thing out of the way. All right. So you're going to see these new remote access icons all over the platform. This is basically one-click access to launch Splashtop. If anyone is using BYO options, which is like bring your own team viewer, screen connect, even Splashtop, if you have a retail account that you're using while you migrate over to this one, you'll see like a drop down like this appear next to remote access. That's how you'll access all of your third-party tools. If you have them integrated, this one is always going to be reserved for ours. If you've got it off in the policy or you ought not to use it for any reason, when you click this, it'll tell you, hey, you need to go to the policy, turn it on kind of thing. Synchro Live we have renamed. It's basically called backgrounding tools now. Clicking this is the same as the Synchro Live button was before. It'll just bring up Synchro Live. And then we've also added this drop down, so you've got one click, well, technically 2-click access into any one of these individual utilities within that suite of tools. You'll notice that we don't show remote desktop here, which was our previous way of remotely accessing machines. It's still there. We just didn't want it in the core UI so folks didn't get confused between that and this button here. But if you open up backgrounding tools, it's still there. You can use it as a backup if you like. There is also buttons all over the platform. Like for instance, this is the asset list page. So you'll have an icon for remote access. You'll have another one for backgrounding tools. You'll see it in like if you attach an asset to a ticket in your chat. We even added, expanded on these icons in the search all things. So you've got one here for remote access, another one for backgrounding tools. So everywhere you'd expect to see it, you're going to have one-click access to remoting. Let me do a quick connection here. I'm going to have to try to freeze my screen because this will kick me off. Hang on. Let's see if this trick works. I think it will. Okay. Do you guys see the starting remote access modal here?
It's still loading. It needs a second.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I don't think that's going to work. Well, trying to think. All right, let me try. Yeah, it's going to pop up a modal. I apologize. It's not going to work on over Zoom. But it basically says, hey, we're launching your connection, and there's going to be buttons for Mac and for Windows, and that denotes what OS that you're accessing a machine from. That's a download. It's like a viewer app that you download, and you just need to do it once on every machine you want to access remote desktop, whatever from. So there's one for Mac, one for Windows. Today, it supports connecting from a Mac. It does not support connecting to a Mac. It's something we're adding, and it's like top priority for our Mac agent that's currently in beta. So that's maybe like a month away or even sooner. It's not very far away. I'm going to stop sharing for a second here, and I'm going to show you the remote access screen itself. I just need to switch. Well, I really suck at this. There we go. Stop share. All right, I got you. And we're back here. Okay. Can you guys see the Splashtop window now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So there's going to be some actions across the top. This is to like switch monitors. If your customer has multiple monitors on there, you can toggle between them. This is for like some scaling options. You can resize the window if you want. And then more importantly, if you have a customer with like real sucky bandwidth or there's something going on with their internet, you can drop the frame rate so it can be a little bit more performant over poor connections. There's some basic stuff like full screen, Control-Alt-Delete. There's a couple cool actions in here. You can blank the screen if you don't want the end user to see what you're doing while you're working. And also sometimes like if the end user wasn't there, you're working on it, they come back, you might wind up fighting with them for the mouse and keyboard, so you can lock that. You can even share your own desktop if you want to. There is a built-in file transfer if you want to use this instead of Synchro Live, and then there is basic chat built into this. It's not integrated with Synchro Chat, so it is kind of sucky as far as chat goes in comparison to what we did. But if you just need something to pop up real quick and you want to do like notepad style back and forth, it supports that too. So let me hop back over to my other screen here real quick. All right, I did that, good. So next, we've also enabled this for end users, meaning you can turn this on for your end users. Now, what I just showed you, technician access is completely free with your subscription. You have 10 technicians, 10 million assets, you get access to all of it. This is a paid feature, and it's really simple. I'm on a contact record, and all I have to do is check this enable remote access box. It's going to tell you specifically what it does, how users are going to access these machines, and it's going to tell you it's billed at a rate of $5 per contact a month. So the way this works is we have a customer portal, and it does require some additional security settings. So they have to have a portal user enabled. They have to have MFA enabled to ensure that nobody else is going to get into their account and access their machines. And there is 2 types of permissions that you can assign to portal users as far as assets go. The first one is like view my assets. So that means if they're physically set to access, like you can assign a contact to an asset. If they're assigned to one asset will show up in their portal. If they're assigned to 10 assets will show up in their portal. The other portal permission group lets, if it's like an ops manager at a big office or something and they need access to everything, you can give them rights to see every asset this customer has. And it's all for that same $5 per contact. It doesn't matter if they're accessing one asset or they could access 100, it's still just $5 per contact. And let's see. This is my favorite part because I love talking about billing because that's when we all make money. I never miss an opportunity to talk about this. We have one of the best dynamic billing systems on the planet. And we added this to it, which is a remote access contact counter. What this is going to do is you just add this one line item here. You say, I want to charge $10 for it or whatever you want. And this will appear on recurring invoices scheduled out to your customer every month. But the kicker is that this counts dynamically. So right now, I only have it enabled for me. So it's saying, hey, it's just going to bill me for one. And the total is going to be $10. That's what I'm charging. However, if I onboard a new customer tomorrow, I put 5 more computers on here. I enable it for 5 of them. This is automatically going to change to 6. So whenever this billing fires, it's going to dynamically count what actually exists in that moment and bill accordingly. So the cool thing about this is it works with almost everything. So if you want to do that with assets or assets with certain custom fields and have it dynamically count that, your employees, for backups, we have all sorts of crazy billing for licenses, for storage, for credits. If you want to say, hey, you get 5 free backup licenses, everything over that you pay. And again, you don't have to waste time doing this. You set it up, we'll bill, and you can even process credit cards while you sleep. This is a super simple system, but it's very, very powerful, designed to save you time. The last thing I want to show you is we've got a couple new permissions for your technicians. So these two here allow backgrounding tools as whether or not you want your technicians basically accessing old Synchro Live, which is all like the remote task manager, file manager, registry editor, things like that. And then this one here is allow remote access. It basically shows or hides the remote button around the platform. And then we've got a third one. If I can find it, we have a lot of permissions. This one here, this defines whether or not your technician is allowed to enable remote access on behalf of a customer. And that's just because this is going to cost you money. So we want to make that apparent, like, hey, you can authorize rights to do this, but they could theoretically enable something that could charge you money. So that's it, end to end. Again, we've got a big, another big push going out today, and then I suspect we'll have a whole bunch of them going out next week. So happy to answer any questions you folks have about Splashtop or anything else.
Perfect. Thank you, Andy. I see one in here. I'm going to jump the line on this one, and since it's Splashtop related, but assuming the Mac Splashtop will also work with Splashtop Business side by side, like on Windows PCs?
Yeah, good question. So the way that works, and this is whether or not it's Mac or Windows, it really doesn't matter. If you're using like the BYO variant today, or you have like your own separate Splashtop instance that's already installed on machines, here's how that's going to work. So we're going to go to deploy Splashtop if you've got enabled in your policy, and we're going to see that it's already installed. So if it's already installed, we're just going to leave it as is. That should work like it works today from your other instance, or if your customers are accessing it remotely, it'll still work. And then when you access it from within Synchro, we basically just fine tune it a little bit so it can work with our platform as well. Ours is a bit more secure than what Splashtop has in retail. So we have like a rolling password that changes every few minutes. And there's like a secondary authentication method. So it basically allows it to do both. So yeah, you'll be able to use both regardless if it's going to be from to a Mac.
Beautiful. Thank you. One more. Is it possible to have multiple end users to access single machine?
The short answer is no. And here's how that'll work. If let's say that Manuel, you're a technician, I'm a technician, and you're on the machine, and I go to access that same machine, my connection is going to boot off your connection. Vice versa, if I'm on a machine and my end user's trying to get on, that will not boot me because I think I'm more important than they are. That's just me and my big head. But you won't be able to, they won't be able to boot you basically. So they'll get a message. It's like, hey, there's already a connection. Please try to connect again later. There is some neat things you can do, however, to get around that. If you have like the BYO option enabled and you're connecting through that, and then you connect through Synchro, you'll be able to do 2 connections at the same time. And because we kept Synchro Live's remote desktop, one technician could access the machine through that while the other one does through Splashtop. So you would be able to do it that way.
I think just a follow up to that, with the giving customer or giving like your end users access on their portal, you could give them access to the same devices, right? They just wouldn't be able to access them at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And,
Yeah.
and end users and technicians are the same way. When We call that concurrent connections, but there's also how many computers you can connect to at the same time. So the end user or you as a technician could connect to like 20 computers at the same time. It doesn't matter. It's just simultaneous connections to that one machine. That's the limitation.
Perfect. Okay, we've got a few other questions rolling in. Are customers required to have a contact built out in order to deploy Splashtop? I believe the answer is no, but for example, a residential customer who is a single person may not be built out as a contact because they are only one person on the account. Their device is associated to the customer account, but not the contact.
Yeah, so yeah, customers are effectively the same as contacts in this regard. You just added the customer, the same checkbox is on the customer. And even if you do have like 10 contacts on the customer, enabling it on the customer is just for the basically the contact information assigned to the customer. You can have a portal permission for the customer, same for contacts.
Okay, and then this is a really, really good question, and I'm going to highlight it. How do you recommend transitioning from bring your own Splashtop to Synchro Splashtop?
In all honesty, all you really need to do is cancel your Splashtop account because we use the same installer, so it's just how it's configured. So you can just go in and cancel your service and then nothing changes. Just make sure that you've got Splashtop enabled on your asset policies and you're pretty much done. It'll just work today without issue. Well, once it deploys for you.
Okay. With the current Splashtop supplied by Syncro, can you set up unattended access? Yes. Right, in the policy? That was just a checkbox, right?
Yeah, sorry. Unattended is enabled by default. If you check that box, it changes those assets under that policy to attended.
Great. Okay. Oh, Bryant says, yeah, uninstall, bring your own Splashtop, then deploy from Syncro. Regarding the last question. Let's see. So I'm guessing that bring your own Splashtop allows 2 techs at the same time. Does this mean if we add the Syncro Splashtop, we could have 3?
Dude, I don't know. that one's super complicated. I just
Best
say try it.
answer
I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, I try to know everything, but I don't know that one.
That's my demo style too. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Let's see here. Was there any other? What else do we have? Splashtop, right? Will clients then need to make any changes to the Splashtop software installed on their computer?
No, you shouldn't have to make any changes at all.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all the Splashtop ones that I see.
Oh, here, I got one right in the bottom here.
Okay. Oh, I see it.
Howdy says, happy Friday to the best team in the world. He's talking about you all. What does the end user need to do at home to access their computer? So it's really the same thing that you do as a technician. If they've never used it before, the first time they go to connect, it's going to pop that modal up and it's going to say, hey, are you Windows? Are you Mac? They just download that. The installer is super simple. They'll reinitiate the connection. And then from then on, it's one-click access like what I showed you. They'll only ever have to do that once and they're done. Super simple.
And they get there, just to clarify, they get there from their, like they log into their portal, their customer portal.
Yeah. So whatever your link is to your portal, make sure they have that. And you're going to need to set up a login for them. But yeah, once they have all that, it's self-managed. We
should start our calls off like that every Friday now. Happy Friday. Welcome, best community in the world. Because we feel that way about you. So thank you, Fuzi. I think you say that like every single Friday. That's super thoughtful. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so feel free to keep the Splashtop questions coming in. I see one last one here, so I'll just read it, and then I think after this one, let's go normal Q&A, and then whatever Splashtop happens, we'll just filter it in. The question was, you might have mentioned it, but if a customer is connected to another computer through Splash, then I connect to that same one. Will they get kicked off for my priority, or will I not be able to connect? I think you are able to connect, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, technician will always take priority. You'll boot end users or other technicians. End users will never boot a technician.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you. Take it away, Brandy.
Awesome. That was super helpful. Mike, new to Synchro, welcome, welcome. Happy to have you. How to bulk import custom assets. Is there a way to import all managed network devices from CSV or something like that? I am going to drop you actually, I can't drop it in here, but if you want to email, we can drop our email in there, or even, yeah, I'll drop an email. I'm not sure who you were working with previously, but you can email any of us and we can send you over a CSV template, and our team, our technical support team, will actually import that for you. So I can't send it through chat, but I don't think I'll send it to you. I'll look up your info and get that to you. And then Andrew is saying, I'd like to hear about the integration with my website. I'd like clients to be able to log into their client portals or open tickets right from my website. So great, great, great question. This is something we don't get to talk about too often on demos, but if you head into your admin section, there's actually going to be an area for you to set up your website integrations. It'll have a code for you to embed, but you can do different things. So you can have them log in directly to their portal. You can have them create a ticket or look up an existing ticket. So check-ins, things like that, appointment bookings, there's quite a few different options. I'll definitely drop in the knowledge base article on the website integrations and custom widgets as well. Hopefully that helps.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Martin, this question is yours. On the calendar views, can we remove specific calendars or create groups of views of calendar? Example, a level 1 tech group that shows calendars of level 1 techs only. So let me go ahead and share my screen just to show you a couple things. So inside the calendar, there aren't specific like buttons that you could hit for each group. However, you can select or deselect certain groups, and these are actually pulling from your security groups. So especially if you have all of your level 1 techs in one group, that from the security groups that are created, that they'll give you in the user account the option to select what calendar group that they're a part of. And so then when you're looking at your calendar, that then you can select those specific groups. You can't see them all at the same time, like all the different groups, but if you wanted to just see, okay, I just want to see my bookkeeper and what the schedule under the bookkeeper looks like today, that then you'd be able to check that out. And so that's all going to be handled in the admin section under your users, to where you can select what calendar group that they're a part of. And this connects to your security groups.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hannah. I have another question from Martin. Can we change or create the notifications that get sent when we add the appointments to tickets? So not necessarily the email, I don't believe can be edited, but you can adjust who receives those types of notifications and how they want to be received over in our admin section. So head over to more admin and then notification center through Synchro. Again, you can either select this for all of your texts or one at a time. And then I usually just search for appointments, and then here appointment was created, and you can choose how you want to be notified about that right in that section there. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you. I was just going to grab this one real quick. This is a really great request, asking if we have documentation that describes what each technician permission does. So as of right now, that would be a request for an update to our knowledge base article. So I will pass that along. I know that'll be helpful, because right now I kind of think what we normally recommend is if you're like sitting there with your lead tech or something like that, if there is any in question, testing it out, but also feel free to email help@syncromsp.com if you have any questions on what in particular, if there's one specific that you have questions about, but I will pass that forward.
I've got one from Martin. He's asking if we can get do a CSV import for assets. If you're talking about like Synchro devices, meaning that you're installing like the Windows or the Mac agent, the answer would be no, because those physically have to be deployed. So there wouldn't be anything to import. Like we grab that data, send it up. If you're talking about custom assets, that's a super good suggestion. I don't want to talk out of turn. A long time ago, there used to be a way for support to do that. If you had like certain custom fields, you knew what they were going to be with a CSV. Crystal, do you know if that's still the case, or is that no longer an option?
We have it. I just sent it to Mike via email, and Martin, I can send it to you right now too. So you guys can both check your inbox and just email it back to support, not me, and they'll do it for you.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Does anyone want to grab this one? I know we it's asking about web developers that integrate Synchro into an MSP site, looking to revamp our site and would love to have a design plan with Synchro options embedded. So would anybody be up for showing website widgets and how you can customize, like if someone wants to start a request or create a ticket? Do you want to hop in and show that?
Yeah, I can go ahead and grab that. Okay, so I think this actually relates to the question that Andrew asked as well. And so in the admin section, to check out the type of website integrations or different widgets you can create, you're going to scroll down to integrations. And so under website integrations, we'll actually have a bunch for you. So I think Andrew asked about the one for the customer portal. So having an easy way for clients to access their customer portal from your website. Likewise for a customer check-in. So if you want to grab information from them for them to start a new service ticket or even look up an existing ticket to be able to do that. And then also an appointment booking module for you. And then we'll also have where you can create your own custom widgets. And so you'll definitely want to check out those to see what you can create through there. So then that way, if there is custom information you'd like to pull through, customers can enter their information. They can even select from your issue types for a dropdown to select what their subject and what their description of their issue is. You can add custom HTML and even a confirmation for them to create a new ticket with you from there. So being able to really customize things from there as well.
And then I would just add too, we have a really killer API that can do a lot of stuff. So if you do ever farm out like a web developer to help build you stuff, anything that you just saw there, you can pretty much build yourself, merge it into your site, use whatever templates you want. We've seen a couple people build some really, really interesting things right on their own website.
Awesome. I'll go ahead and grab a couple in here. So Brian is asking, will there be a network discovery option? So we don't have that native in Synchro, but we do integrate with a tool called Domots for network discovery and deployment. We also recently did a webinar with them, which was pretty awesome. So we can drop that in the chat box for you too. It's worth taking a look at. I think that'll solve some things there. And then Gary is asking, can we use the mailer to send emails to contacts, not just companies? That would be really important. So let me just share my screen. I think a lot of people don't utilize the mailer because they don't necessarily know how to use it. So you can use this for a ton of different things. So I can come into the mailer, I can create drip campaigns. We can talk about money. This is Andy's favorite thing to talk about. So if you want to use this mailer for like a way to make more money, right? Hey, let's find everyone who doesn't have antivirus. I might have a saved asset search for everyone who doesn't have antivirus. I've got an upselling opportunity here. I can also use this for my customers. Hey, everyone who's spent a certain amount of money, my VIP customers, let's just send them an email. But you also have the option here to include the contacts. So this is going to be on a customer page when you are setting up your contacts. You can assign who is going to receive marketing emails. And then in that case, you could absolutely include the contacts. And since we don't have questions in there, I'm also going to share this with you. But mailers are awesome. You can do that like, hey, one day after a new lead's created, let's send them this email. 14 days later, let's send them another one. That's a nice way to do things automatically. But this is where you can choose, okay, they're going to get marketing emails, and anyone there, you could absolutely include the contacts.
Well, there's no questions in here right now, and I can't sing and I can't dance, but I'm really good at making money. So if anybody even wants to move from product questions to business questions for MSPs, I'm happy to answer that kind of stuff too.
This is my favorite part of the day.
Now's your chance, everybody. You got Andy's attention and his time. Like, don't drop it.
I'm also, I see a couple questions, but while we're reading those, I'm just going to launch this poll too. It's just good for us to know who's attending open office hours and how we can provide the most value. So if you don't mind filling that out, that would be great. I might be late to the party. Did anyone? Oh yeah. I always try to do this in the background. I'm like looking for the Domots webinar. Anna already posted it. Okay, I'm too slow. But yeah, go ahead. Let's hop into some of these questions.
I've got one for Jeremy. Jeremy, I'm going to ask you to put a clarification. If you can do it quick enough, I can answer it here. He's saying, I need to raise our prices. How much lead time before they take effect would you recommend? It really depends. I don't know your business. If you're talking about, are you talking about contract customers or just you want to raise your hourly rates for break fix customers? If you let me know, I can better answer that for you. Corey's asking, how do you separate brick and mortar customers from MSP clients in Synchro? You really don't. If you're talking about marketing, you can always add a custom field and just say like, hey, this is break fix and this is contract customers. Like if you want to market through mailer or something like that and segregate them. But really the only difference between a break fixer and a contract customer is how you bill them. There's a lot of MSPs when they're starting off that think that like break fix is almost a dirty word and you can't go do hourly work. And that's, I don't know, it's not really a bright way of thinking because at the end of the day, money is money. It all spends the same. So it's really just, again, how you bill them. So I would just get your contracts sorted. I'd even put contracts in for hourly customers. Like if you have different rates for different hourly customers, kind of treat them all the same. I think the more work you do to segregate them, you in the back of your mind, you're kind of treating them differently when in effect they're not. It's the same work. It's just how they pay you that differs.
One thing I like to add too is every once in a like, I like the idea of utilizing custom fields also on a customer level to just say like what type of customer they are. The only reason that I like that, because I 100% agree with Andy. The only reason I do like doing that is like if you were to check someone that they were like hourly and you were trying to get them on a contract or something, going back to what Brandy was talking about with the mailer, you can send specific emails to customer sets. So like if you wanted to be like, get your first month at this, or I'm running this promotion for managed services or something like that, you could utilize a custom field to just be able to like separate that way, just like from a view level and from a business standpoint, like there's ways to do that too.
Yeah, that's super good suggestion too. Okay, so Jeremy's clarifying. He says full support MSP clients. So here's the thing. Your contract is coming due, and really it doesn't matter if you're raising your prices. It matters if you're able to successfully sell that concept to the client. So however long in advance you would start negotiating a new contract. So if you have a 12-month contract and you're 10 months into it and you feel that you need that space to negotiate with the customer, or however that's going to go down, I'd say 30 to 60 days. If you try and raise prices on top of having a small window, you run the risk of having that customer kind of be like, well, let me go see what's out there. Or they might try to run like month to month for a little bit. And once they do that, that's when like shopping begins, and they might go just like, hey, I don't have a contract anymore. Let me go get a couple of quotes and see where things go. So the sooner you can lock that down, the better. And I wouldn't pitch it as anything negative. I think that's a very difficult thing to sell, but once you're good at it, it kind of comes second nature, where you're just saying, look, this is everything I've done. Have you had a bunch of problems? Have you gotten ransomware? Have you gone down for days and lost tons of money? You haven't, because I know what I'm doing. And at that point, it's relatively easy to sell, so long as you're not raising your prices, doubling and things like that. Bryant says, Andy, you're the voice of Synchro, right? What are your other roles? I might have missed your introduction at the beginning of the call. I think when you mean voice, I do the videos for our product stuff. So I'm technically the senior product manager, but that pretty much means that I do all sorts of things for all different teams. I was an MSP for years. I had a big MSP. It was a 12 tech MSP that I sold a couple of years ago. I've been consulting in the space for a decade. So I kind of like to do everything. It keeps things crazy, and I do well in crazy.
Awesome. We love that you're here, Andy. Thank you so much for joining. Gary has a question. Can we set contact marketing check in a batch? And so I think I know what you're looking for here. And so on the customer page, let's say we wanted a couple of customers to have their contacts receive those marketing emails. You can hit bulk actions and then hit edit right here. What you'll want to select is make sure you're denoting, okay, I've selected these 3 customers that I'm looking for. Go to apply to, and then go to contacts only, and then go ahead and select the receive marketing emails.
Awesome. I think next I have a question here from Bob. Are there any scripts using proper API that allows Synchro to pull license info from Office 365 tenants and then count the license for recurring billing purposes. So before I answer this question, I love that, I think it was a link. Yeah, link says, at Bob, if you sell Microsoft 365 via CSP, you can see if your CSP provider integrates with Synchro. PAX 8 has this capability. So yes, love this community. As I said at the beginning of our call, thank you for chiming in and sharing your own experience through PAX 8. That is what I am going to recommend. If you go over to our App Center, you can find PAX 8. And if you decide to go with PAX 8, their cloud service provider, they make it as easy as possible to keep your licenses organized, and they're built into Synchro through an iframe here. So you purchase whatever you need through PAX 8, and then PAX 8 is going to ask you, hey, which recurring invoice are you looking to bill? Which customer is paying for these licenses? Who did you buy this for? And so all you do is you say, well, these 10 licenses I just bought for Larry's business because he just hired 10 new employees. And basically PAX 8 will ask you which customer, you point it to the proper recurring invoice for the customer, you add it the one time here, it'll look like a nice and clean line item here for you, no branding or anything. And then you no longer have to keep track of like, how many licenses do you have, which licenses for which customer, did they use it that month, is it expiring soon? It's all organized on the PAX 8 side, sync to the proper recurring invoice, and then you don't have to think about billing ever again. So that is my answer for you.
Awesome. I'm just going to give a quick answer here to Randy. Is there a way to have a timer add the employee's time to the calendar? Time starts or time added to the log should show on the calendar. Also appointment reminders. So I'm going to report appointment reminders are 1 hour before. I just tested on mine to just see if you could add like 0.5 or 0.3 or whatever, and it is integers only right now, so that would be a feature request. The one thing, Brandy, I will say is that when you go to your admin section in appointment types, you can like have automatic time added to an appointment type, but I don't think that shows on the actual calendar. So I'm going to take this as a feature request for now.
Thank you so much, Crystal. I'll grab the next one at the top here from Scott. He says, is there a way to get users that put in tickets using the computer icon to have their info show up in the company contact list? So I love this. This would be, I believe it's a feature request for now. What it does do in the moment is I'm filling this out for you guys in a quick live demo, but if they use the system tray icon and they're using the agent contact form, and let's say this is a brand new contact at the company, when they submit the request, it's going to filter in, here's the ticket that's already created, and those details that they filled in, since there is no assigned contact to that asset, it'll be listed right here. So the name is Happy Friday and whatever I entered into that custom contact information. Or if it is assigned, if the asset does have a contact assigned to them, as you can see, mine is none, but if it was assigned for, let's say, example for Crystal, her name would pre-fill here in the agent contact form. And if that was edited, when that ticket comes in, it's going to be, all the edits are going to be listed here as a private note. But I hear what you're saying. It'd be cool if this contact, if there's a button you can click somewhere that automatically builds out a contact profile under the customer. I do think that would be pretty cool. So I'm happy to pass that along for you.
Yes, and to that, if you add a domain as a custom field on the customer page, it will auto create, but that's if they're emailing you, not if they're doing it from the agent contact form. So some don't know that. Couple questions. Jim, didn't know Splashtop would be included in the pricing. Well, that's a fun little surprise for you. And I purchased a full year of unlimited. Now it looks like I should have waited. Will they refund my fee? So Bryant has a comment for you, but also, yes, they will. I did confirm, we confirmed via their chatbot that within 30 days, if you purchased it, like an annual subscription within 30 days, no questions asked, there should be a refund that they'll provide you. And Bryant said that he also wanted to share with you that his Bring Your Own Splashtop was scheduled to renew on an annual term, and he reached out prior to the renewal and learned that now they have monthly billing options. So he was able to switch until the migration was complete, which is awesome because I didn't know that. And as of like a month ago, I don't think they even had that. So thank you for sharing, Bryant. William is asking, what's the best way to have businesses with several employees recorded in Synchro? Do I store business name and then have contacts as employees? Yes, so absolutely, that's how I would recommend setting this up. I would have the business name and the individual employees listed as contacts directly below. Important to note that these individual contacts, you can still assign those to different locations. You can assign who's going to receive billing, marketing report emails, and you can even have custom fields for those, which could be encrypted if you need to just store passwords or anything like that on a contact level. So hopefully that helps you with some clarity there. And I think that's all I grabbed.
Corey's got a question. This is actually my favorite MSP question. He says, per user or per device? We sell per user and we find it works well. What's your thoughts? My thought is both of those suck. And here's why. It's kind of hard to understand, but when you sit down with a customer, no customer ever goes to your website and they're like, oh, I can go here and you're advertising your price, so I can get you to come in and do all the work you want in the world for $700 or $1,000 or whatever it is. But the thing is, if they're willing to pay $1,500 and they have 5 employees, why would you ever go in and be like, oh yeah, $500? Like, somebody's going to have a good day, but it's not going to be you. So what you really want to do is, when you go and sit down with them, listen to what they say and pitch a price on the fly. And I'll give you a super good example. This is like the 3rd pitch I ever did. Had no idea what I was doing in the early days of being an MSP. And I read the same stuff that you read, that all MSPs bill per device, per user. They had 7 employees. They had 7 assets, super easy. I was going to do $100 a piece. Didn't care which way they were interested in. The first thing they start is by telling me, I hate my current provider. They suck. They never fix anything. And you'd think for $1,250 a month, I would get better service than that. Well, if they were willing to pay $1,250 a month for garbage service, and I know what I'm doing, why would I ever be like, well, I'll solve all your problems for $700? Why don't I just tell them I'll solve all your problems for $500? Like, if there's money on the table, you're going to lose it by forcing a per device or per user model. So in that instance, they go on and say, yeah, and I don't even have fast times. They'll come and they'll fix things in 2 days. Well, cool. Now I know I can get at least $1,250 and I don't have to have like same day SLA or something like that. I wound up telling them that I was going to do better because I know they're paying. That's what you get for $1,250. You get garbage service. I pitched it at $500. We closed it at $1,400. And it was twice what I would have went in intending to get otherwise. That customer stayed with me for the life of my MSP, which was 6 years or so. And if you add up that $700 difference, that equates to, like, quick napkin math in my head, $25,000 over the life of the customer, just because I didn't have fixed pricing. If you do that with 10 or 20 contracts a year, you're actually paying for entire technicians just through selling better and more efficient on your contracts. So for anyone listening, please always try to learn to do that per device. It just leaves money on the table, and that makes me real sad. Fauzi's got a question. He's saying they would love to have Wave accounting integration. That's the only reason stopping you from using Synchro invoicing. I'll be honest, Wave is, I hear that sometimes, but it's not on the radar currently. However, I would highly suggest spinning up a trial of QuickBooks Online or Xero, trying that with a couple select customers, or even add yourself as a test customer in Synchro, see how that works. That's like a logistics problem. Never let a logistics problem stand in the way of saving you time or money, because that's what it's going to do. If you have 2 unintegrated systems, it's just going to waste your time, and that's time you're not out selling your business, selling yourself, or generating revenue. So spin up one of the other ones, and it will literally save you. I don't know how many techs you have, assuming it's just you. It could save you 5 to 10 hours a month, depending on the customers you have. And if I could give you 5 to 10 hours a month to go off and sell, I would hope that would infinitely generate more revenue than just trying to stay on an existing platform and not integrating it. Gary's saying it would be nice to add the ability to run select scripts from the tray icon. Gary, I like that too. Send that one as a support request. That's one that we're tracking, and the more people that ask for it, the more likely we are to do it. But that's one I would support as well. And then one last one for me from Fauzi. He's saying, you're asking about tiered access, and I think you're asking, like, could it be $129 a user for everything for the PSA and the RMM, and could I have a lower price for the accounting department? The answer there is no. I do understand it'd be nicer if it was cheaper for those folks, but in the grand scheme of things, if I'm on, I don't want to throw out a name and have somebody get mad at me, but any of the other platforms that bill per device, and you're paying, $4 for 500 assets, and you're paying $2,000 a month, bringing on another, person on the PSA for 129 bucks. It's like one notch to the left of that is free, more or less. So I don't see that happening, but never say never.
Andy's getting lots of love in the comments here, so thank you for that business advice. Love that. Definitely, guys, keep those questions coming because Andy wasn't here last week and he's here now, so take advantage. I have a couple questions here from, I'll just kind of start at the top. Question from Bob. He says, to clarify, without PAX 8 or CSPs, is it possible to use an API to pull in the Office 365 licenses into Synchro for recurring billing? Not off the top of my head, that as I know, I'm not a developer, so I don't know how to use the API probably as well as you do. I do want to say our documentation is phenomenal for the API. I did drop that into the chat box for you guys. I opened a couple tabs here. So we use Swagger to make this as easy as possible for you guys. Again, it will literally walk you through step by step how you need to set this up. But this tab right here is going to be where you can actually play with the API. So I would look in here of like, this is all the sections of Synchro that are available to you to use the API with. A lot of this is plugged into the invoicing. So the list kind of goes on and on. So again, if you're familiar with this, if this is something that you're handling on a day-to-day basis, if you're really good at this, or you have someone on your team that is, please use the documentation to take a closer look at the capabilities to accomplish what you're looking for. Or if you don't want to hire somebody to do that for you, PAX 8 makes it super, super easy. And then I have another question here from Adam. Can we have a different system tray icon for each client if need be? Was thinking if an account was running late on payments or contract needs renewal, we would change the color of the icon. This is an interesting suggestion. Right now, the system tray icon will contain your logo, and that can't be customized like from customer per customer or policy per policy. Now, that menu that pops up when you open that, when you click the system tray icon and that menu that pops up, you can completely customize it and you can make that show whatever you want. Like if they're usually used to seeing like 10 different options to submit a ticket and they haven't paid you in 2 months, you can be like, please give me a call if you would like to restore your ticket privileges or something like that. Like you can put whatever you want in there and just apply that menu item to that specific customer. But I don't think changing the icon is something that's on the immediate roadmap, and if they're constantly using it, hopefully seeing that new menu pop up would be helpful in that case. And that's all I got.
Awesome. Thanks, Tatiana. Someone's mentioning, great to hear about Splashtop. I will apply for the refund, but I don't want the account canceled, just move to Synchro. Is there anything special I need to do? So it's completely separate, actually. What comes with Synchro is completely separate than what you purchase through Splashtop. So it's not like bringing your account from Splashtop over to Synchro, like Bitdefender, Webroot, things like that. So you would want to cancel that account and then use the one that's provided through Synchro.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, just to add to that really quick. When you do that, if you go ahead and deploy Splashtop on all of your assets ahead of time, there'll be no like transition period. Like you just cancel and then you could keep using it. You'll never know the difference. You're just accessing it from within Synchro now.
Great tip.
Yeah, that's awesome. Bryant has a great question for dynamic billing. Is there a way to designate a contact as billable or non-billable, or can that be managed by using custom fields? Bryant, you're right on the nose. We often have more contacts than we would actually bill for because we have secondary contacts or part-time employees or external contacts. So absolutely. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. So when we're in the recurring invoice schedule for that customer, he's talking about the recurring types with our awesome dynamic counters. So with this customer contact counter, this count is going to pull all of the contacts that's associated with that business. So we have 9 here and we're looking at 9 there. If I'd like to designate just a dynamic count against a field, so I can create custom fields on specific contacts. They can be checkboxes, they can be drop downs, whatever you would need for the best use case for your business. And then that way you can build dynamically against these counts instead of the total count.
Awesome. I was just going to grab this one from Mike. Is there a plan to sync invoice numbers between Synchro and QuickBooks? As of right now, no, there is no plans to do that. We sync invoice numbers from QuickBooks or from Synchro to QuickBooks, not the other way around. So if you are generating one-off invoices in QuickBooks for any reason, then you would essentially have to update the number on the Synchro side too to like get back in line. So I am curious, and I'm curious if Andy has anything to say on this, if there's a way that those invoices can just be generated in Synchro, so that you know, all of your billing and everything is within Synchro. Maybe if you're familiar with use cases for that, Andy.
Yeah, I would ask that too. I'd want to know why you want to build some stuff out of QuickBooks and some stuff out of Syncro. The only time I hear that is usually when you're migrating over, like you might have some recurring stuff that you want to make sure goes out. But if you can make the transition fully, you never want to manage two systems doing the same thing. Like QuickBooks should really become your expense tracking and your like dumb stuff for taxes and all that kind of nonsense waste time stuff. But Syncro should really be the single source for all your invoices and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you have a specific use case, let me know and I can answer. But in almost everything I can think of in my head, it doesn't make sense. If you can migrate fully, do it. Oh, sorry. I guess the next two are mine. Corey and this person, to give their name, they're asking the same question. One, Corey's asking if we're ever going to natively support SentinelOne like we do Bitdefender and MCSoft. And this other individual is asking the same for Malwarebytes. I'm known to leak things like crazy. This is one of the things I really can't do when it comes to like third-party integrations, like what's coming and what's not. I will say that if we ever did another AV, I personally would love it to be SentinelOne. That product is badass and I love it. It's kind of expensive, but you pay for what you get there. I really like them. And then Malwarebytes, I've been hearing a lot of stuff. You're asking about the premium consumer version. I don't know what that is. I know we've had a lot of requests recently for, I think it's called OneView. It's on my list of things to go look at. I don't even know if they have like an MSP APIs and stuff where we could even do that if we wanted to, but I'll look into that also. But I would like to have additional AV at some point in time, but again, I can't give you any specifics on that stuff.
Manuel just says PAX8 for SentinelOne, which yes, you can absolutely, it's not integrated into Synchro is the only thing, like deployments and alerting, reporting, things like that. You can absolutely use it for billing because we have the PAX8 integration though.
Yeah, and just to kind of also maybe light a fire for Bitdefender too, because you know you can trial Bitdefender whether you're in a Synchro trial or you're already a paying customer of Synchro. You can trial Bitdefender. It is the full gravity zone option, so it's not some like glorified small version. It's actually full gravity zone. Plus you have the options of all of the add-ons that do include EDR and those things that you're looking to get out of that next gen AV. So if you are looking for a robust option to offer security for your customers, I would absolutely recommend just checking out Bitdefender. Again, risk-free, able to trial. I think you can trial up to 30 endpoints, which is pretty cool, and for 30 days. So I would definitely recommend checking that out because yeah, the integrated option of being able to deploy via a policy, being able to generate alerts natively and be able to set up automations and that kind of thing to create tickets. There's also great reports. So while we hear definitely the request, I would counter and say, and you know, encourage you to maybe test out Bitdefender too.
Yeah, I just add there, we do have a lot of folks, like if you have a customer where you feel something like SentinelOne is warranted, that's okay. But we have plenty of people that do that for one or two customers and they deploy Bitdefender WebRoot to, you know, all of their endpoints. Fauzi's asking, what is your take on offering tied options to clients or just one option? We've been successful with one package. It's working better for us. My personal suggestion would be all of your packages work like this. You sell a service and whatever you can get the customer to pay for it is the price you should charge them. And I guess the best thing I can ever teach other MSPs, especially if you're just starting up, is that this industry is not won and lost by the best technician. Every single person in this group is better than me. And when it comes to being a technician, I don't want to say I suck, but I'm not great. But I can sell. And that's why this industry becomes much easier when you can sell. So if you sit down in front of a client and you've got one package, if that's easy for you to sell, great, but that's the maximum. You're putting a ceiling over your head, and this is the best you can ever do. If you take the ceiling away, there's nothing that says you can't still sell for that exact same price at the end of the day. But if someone's willing to pay 50% more, twice as much, or go on a longer term contract, or take a contract with less services, meaning you're going to spend less time to service that contract, do that. And another quick example of this, I know we only have a couple minutes. If you have two different offices, the same amount of computers, the same amount of employees, but one of them might be a group of non-tech savvy people and this other group over here is tech savvy people, the group over here is like, hey, my computer doesn't work, and you go in there and it like they turn the monitor off or they unplug the monitor, like stupid stuff like that. This other group is going to triage their own problems and they're never going to bother you unless there's legit problems. If you know you're going to spend 20 hours over here and you're going to spend 10 over here, how could you have one package that could realistically service both? So you want to take all that into account. You want to quote unquote qualify your customer and understand what you're going to do. There could be a situation where it's so much work that you don't actually want it unless they're going to pay a premium, because it's just going to waste that much more of your time that you can't use to service other clients and generate additional revenue.
Oh, so good. So good. So much wisdom there. Hope you guys are taking notes. I mean, these questions are slowing down, so you guys are probably taking lots of really great notes. So really quick, I wanted to share my screen real quick. Link says he uses Zero, but his strategy on invoice numbers is to always generate every invoice in Synchro, no exceptions. I agree with this wholeheartedly. It's easier for us to flow information from Synchro to Zero. Now, where you prefer to send your invoices from is super flexible. We try to build a system that accommodates how you prefer to run your business and how you prefer to bill your customers. Like Andy said, pitch in whatever way that is going to make sense to them at whatever type of, whether it's an all-you-can-eat type of model, break fix per endpoint, per user, like anything under the sun that they're willing to pay for. Do it here in Synchro, generate the invoice in Synchro, and then you can choose, do you want to email from here? Or once it's generated, again, it'll automatically sync over to Zero for you guys. You can email from there, accept payment from there, and then that payment will sync backwards towards Synchro and it will mark that invoice as paid.
Awesome. I'm just going to grab this one real quick from Corey asking, can we separate the inventory from Synchro and QuickBooks? I really don't want to pull over a bunch of useless inventory, old data, if we can just move ahead with Synchro and still pull all that information. So what I would suggest, Corey, is when you are integrating with QuickBooks, maybe just not do the full inventory sync where you pull everything from your QuickBooks into Synchro. You can either do like a CSV import of the ones that are active, and you can link those to your QuickBooks instance. And that's maybe what I would suggest if you wanted to start fresh and clean in Synchro. It's not a requirement that everything from QuickBooks exists in Synchro, just as long as they are linked on the actual product. So that's what I would suggest. Just don't do the import from QuickBooks for inventory.
Awesome, thank you. We got a couple minutes here. So do you plan to move the support forum on independent platform away from Facebook? Not all of us use Facebook. So we have a Facebook group. We also have a subreddit, but that's absolutely not the support forum. So if you do need support, please write to help@syncromsp.com. That's just a community, an online community that you can utilize to engage with other users. Of course, we do have our community driven track and things like that we post there, but also on subreddit. So you can use that. We don't receive alerts when clients send us a chat help. So I don't know if that's a comment or a question, but you absolutely should be receiving notifications. So if you head over into your admin section and then you go to your notification center, there's going to be 4 different options in terms of chat notifications. So you can choose how you get notified when you get chats. So hopefully you get that going so that you can get your notifications. And I think that's all I grabbed here. Oh yeah, William, you beat me to it. He said, check out the notification setting within the admin section. So yeah, see, that's what Facebook is good for too. Someone asks a question and within a second, like someone chimes in with, hey, this is what you should do.
Oh, what do we got? Left.
We've got the Stripe one. Yeah, I can read it. I haven't read it yet, but can we send an invoice to Stripe and have Stripe charge the card, then send back a paid flag to Synchro, and that gets sent to the client? Or can Stripe payments be down through the customer portal only? So Stripe payments are going to be through the customer portal only. It's going to mark in whatever, it'll mark as paid into QuickBooks Online or Zero if that's what you're using. Now, If you are using QuickBooks Online or Xero and you have it like pointing towards one of those and it's paid there, it will mark back as paid into our system. But you'll definitely want to do that through the customer portal. You could also have it auto charge. So on your recurring invoice, there's going to be an option to have it auto charge each month. And then that way they're not sent anywhere. It just automatically happens, or automagically. Someone used that last week. I liked that.
Awesome. And then where do you set up SMS? So it's basically on a per customer basis. Like if you want to just enable SMS, and then you can be able to communicate via the ticket. You know, we do have what is it, Twilio, that you can also set up with some more advanced settings, and you'll see that in the App Center. Okay, well, we are right at the hour, and that was a wonderful session. Thank you again, Andy, for joining us. We really appreciate that. Thank you all for hanging out with us for the hour. Hopefully we see you next week as well. Happy Friday. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. Bye.